All right, might as well. Let's get this rodeo fucking rodeoing. Don't
rodeo on the road. Is that?
Shut the fuck up. Welcome to another episode of Everyone's Doing Better Than Me, the podcast where we bring on successful people and let them know that they basically made me feel like my vagina's falling off because my life isn't as good as theirs. How's that one, Eve? You like that?
Your vagina's falling off. Why did you? I mean, I'm the queen
used in a while. I'm married.
I'm the queen of vagina stuff, but I'm like, really? That's like what makes you feel insecure is that your vagina is falling off?
That's my co-host, Eve Ellen Bogan. I'm one of your hosts, Katharyn Henson. Really excited for today's guest, who's like, why did I agree to do a podcast with two women? I can see it in his eyes. He's a very funny comedian, Michael DAngelo. More from him soon. But
thank you for being here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. He waved. I know
Yeah.
everybody could hear that the air whooshing through the sort of void that is existence. But before anything else, I have to ask you, Eve, this week, who hurt you?
All right. Well, this is it's hard to really pinpoint who it was. I don't know if it's the Israeli government or Hamas, or if it's the commenters on Instagram, or just history. It's probably myself.
Really?
Yeah, it's probably me because, you may know this about me, Katharyn, by now. I don't like to share. My mother's dead, yes. But more importantly, I don't like to share this with people. I keep it kind of on the DL. I'm Jewish, you know. I just, I know you can't tell by my hair, my nose, my personality. Yeah, exactly. But I'm Jewish. Don't spread the word. And I've been to Israel a bunch of times. I love Israel, but like the politics are like, I'm like, don't ask. I don't know, you know, like it's so bad. I just can't even, but I can't deal with it. Right. Like it's really horrible. I have friends who live there. I have family who live there, and I see their posts and I'm like, well, I guess that's possible. And then I read the news and I'm like, well, so anyway, I try not to deal with that stuff. But last night I was scrolling.
But then you did.
Well, but I got it in like a trick way, like a loophole. I was scrolling through Instagram and I followed like I followed like a history page, like called like History Cool Kids or whatever it is, right?
Wow.
There's like
already not cool.
History page.
Yeah.
All right, you two. Sorry that I'm educated. Sorry that I like to know about the past so that I can prevent it from repeating itself. Okay. Some of us, you know, would have been gassed had we been there, but you know, look at you and your white privilege. I'm so white, by the way. But I was like on this page and they posted a thing and I'd never seen this before. It was like a Holocaust memorial and it was like in, somewhere in Europe by the river. Like basically they'd made the Jews take off their shoes and then
that history page is really, you know, you're
somewhere in Europe by the river.
You mean near my house?
I live by a river.
You're gonna feel bad in a second, okay? You fucking Nazis. So they like made the Jews take their shoes off, and then they shot them, and so that they fell directly into the river. How do you feel now?
I'm still laughing at the last thing.
What they do with their shoes, though?
They kept them to sell them, and so now there's a memorial there.
Wow.
that's bronze shoes right by the river, and so it's like, and I know I collect everything that could possibly like I could use as like a victim. To like be like, but you see, like I collect all of this in my mind so I can be like, but did you know that by the river in Europe, you know, but I didn't know this. And so what did I do? I like scrolled. I didn't even have to scroll the comments. It was just Free Palestine. And I'm like, these are different things, you know, like not all Jews are Israel. Do you know what I mean? It's like every Muslim. It's like seeing some atrocity against Muslims and then like holding the worst thing that any Muslim has ever done against. It's the same thing. It's like, you don't get to, but like it was, and it's like, it drives me nuts because it's like now all these like woke people can feel like woke, but I'm like, you just hate Jews. Just say you hate Jews. You know, I feel better. No, like when you just say it to my face.
We like honesty here on this podcast. So
I can handle that. Just say I don't like Jews. And then I'll be like, cool, like you're a bigot, you know. But now they're like, no, but actually this and that. And you know, I'm not saying that you're anti-Semitic if you criticize Israel and all this stuff, but this is the thing. It brings up this whole nest of boring, dramatic, like just, you know, insecure, angry emotions in me. And I was up till like 3:30 in the morning. And it's like, you know, like going back
on Instagram.
Oh, totally. And like, I'm like, I was like commenting and I'm like, you know, this woman's like, learn about history. And I'm like, I know about history. Like she, you know, that I'm like, but you're anti-Semitic and you should just say it and all this stuff. And then I woke up this morning and it was like rolling over next to someone you slept with and but the condoms are in your, like, as soon as I saw my Instagram notifications, I was like, what have I done? And it's like, someone's like, don't at me with an S. I'm like, oh God, how did I get it intermingled with this riffraff? You know what I mean? With the dross of humanity at like 3:30 in the morning. And I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, like, it's like finding gross used condoms. And then you're like, you're still here. I don't know how to get rid of you.
Anyway, a bottle of tequila and like
there's no morning after pill for that either. You just gotta live with it.
Yeah.
What I did was I deleted the notifications so that I don't have to like see, because it'll take like a few days before they're all cleared, So I was like, I don't want to look at this anyway. And now I'm boring. I've become a boring Jew, which is. I'm the victim in all of this, the Palestinians, me, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to have to be boring. I just want to live my life. Anyway, so that's who hurt
Sounds
me.
like you hurt yourself.
That's what I was thinking. I hurt myself. I need boundaries. I need to not engage with, those people. But yuck. All right. So Katharyn, I'm ready to move on. I had to feel it out. We're big on feelings on this podcast.
Yeah. So many of them. Yeah.
Now that and I'm glad that you asked about me. And now that we have, is there anything on your mind? Does anyone hurt you? Because usually you're pretty stable. Nobody seems to really get in there.
Hilarious.
But,
great.
Yeah. Stable Katharyn.
Yeah. Oh, good. Oh, you're starting now, Michael. You're starting. Yeah. I have that tattooed on my ass. Stable Katharyn. And
what I like,
park their dick too.
What I like about this is I'm like, wow, Michael's gonna be great because you're obviously not choosing sides here based on who you're friends with. So I like that.
Yeah. Okay. Who hurt me? Well, to just take this to an even, more privileged place of life. To explain this. I woke up on Friday to scaffolding being built in front of my windows, which is hilarious because that never happened to me during the 15 years I lived in New York City. But now that I'm in London in Notting Hill, I can see these men's asses, and you would think that'd be like a reason to celebrate, but it's not. They're going to build this. It's not done. Somehow it looks completely finished. And yet all day, yesterday, today, and Friday, it's like they're building a mansion of scaffolding. So I can't think. The sounds it's making, it's like, and I go to bed at dawn because my life has been a garbage fire for the past year and a half. Yeah. So it's like the moment they begin is like when I'm trying to sleep, and it's yeah.
I mean, all I'll say is 6 million Jews, and then you come at me with scaffolding.
I'm
like, oh yeah, I'm trying to right the wrongs of my ancestors and you're like, and I see his butt. It's just
6 million men's butts and the clanging. I saw one of them dancing. Like I was like, well,
really?
This job, yeah, he was up there. I was like, is this the full Monty? I was like, what's happening? But
I love that you're in the UK like a year and you're like making British references. You're like, oh, I've heard of the full Monty. They have English accents too. Yeah, exactly.
I'm British. But I was like, this job can't be easy. I mean, I was like looking at it. I was like, they're like really lifting these giant pipes, even though I'm like, I still don't know where it's going. But they're like, they've had to come up with this apparatus because they can't actually get on the other side of the building. So they've like carried it through the entryway, up the stairs, through a window. Well, of course, on my floor. So it's like every time they do anything, it's like, it's for me, know? But yeah, and then they're having to pull it up on pulleys. So I'm like, this can't be easy, but God damn it if they're not making a lot of noise. I sleep when they go to lunch. That's what happens. At like 11, I get a peaceful 45 minute.
What time have you been going? Your window? They're like, does that look level? Is that level?
Dude, well, that's the thing is like the scaffolding is right. So they're walking by my windows all the time. And like, I'm not exactly having things are much better than the last time I talked to you, Michael, but like, I'm not having a good time right now, particularly in, just my general personal sphere, whatever. I won't get into it today, but I was sitting here, my new comfort. I
won't get into it. Everything's terrible, but I don't want to burden the listeners.
Yeah, I won't describe it.
Well, I'll describe this because this at least will bring people this will be the thing that you can, a heckler will scream this at me one day and I'll burst into tears. I'm too scared to get a real animal again because I'm afraid that I'll just let it down. That was a burden I always had when I had a dog. Like I'm not doing enough for this animal. So I bought this porcelain dog from a charity shop. And now what I do is I hold it and speak to it and cry, because at least it can't hurt me. And it's not a human. I can't disappoint it. And it just listens and looks at me with these eyes that, depending on where I put it in the house, change the way they look. Like, I've noticed it looks different depending on where I put the dog. Anyway, I think I need to be sectioned. So I don't know. We could just do that. Get me out of this scaffolding.
When you drop the dog, will you send me a picture of it?
I was like, if I drop this dog, my life is ending. But
this is one of those things where people are like, again, it's like when people are like, but was there any way we could have known what she would do? But is there any kind of warning sign that she would become this person? And I'm like, well,
did she have a relationship with the men on the scaffolding? Why would she push that?
But it's like you become a shooter, and they're like, was there any kind of unusual behavior? And I'm like, well, she did get this dog. And they're like, well, that's not weird. I'm like, but it was porcelain. And they're like, oh, it's sculpture, a statue. And I'm like, no, but she would hold it.
Put it in different places in her house.
Yeah.
So you could see the way it looked in different lighting with different backdrops.
She would cry.
I've nuzzled it and cried, and today multiple
she would
times.
say, you can't hurt me. And that was,
truly.
Oh my God.
It's
that's
tragic.
Why wouldn't you get like a soft one?
Because I saw it at the store, and then I didn't get it, and then I remember I was like, I just need to own it. And I think, I don't know, it just spoke to me, and it's looking at me, and it's just something about it. I got my soft ones still in New York, so I don't want to cheat on them. This is a new addition to my life. So I don't know its name yet. I've tried to figure it out, but it's nameless. It's a nameless.
That's abuse. That's abuse right there.
Dog.
You try not to hurt the dog, and you just get this dog to fulfill your needs. You don't even fucking name it.
Dogs are fucking stupid, dude. It doesn't even know its name, even if you gave it one. You don't have to worry about that.
It's an inanimate object.
Do you walk it? Do you walk it in like a little?
Start. You're gonna see some shit. You're gonna see
a little baby carriage. You just take it, and then but you still put the little booties on its feet so it doesn't track dirt in the house.
It doesn't even have feet. I put it around a sock around it, and I'm like, it's outfit. I change its clothes.
How much did it cost?
£4.
And I bet you were like really weighing whether or not you could afford it.
I told you I didn't take it the first time I saw it. I went back. I was like, I was like, I have to have it. I must have it. So
this is like Wilson from Castaway.
Yeah, it is.
He was like on a desert island at sea, and
dude,
like
if you cut your hand and put your blood on it, then it's really yours. You know?
God, now I know what I'll do with my evening.
Wow, we've never really roasted you like this on this podcast, but I love this. Yeah. I mean, this is
my gift to you.
And the funny thing is, it's like you're really talking about a low point and like how you're trying. And I'm like,
tragic.
Let me just stick my finger in this wound. Anybody have any?
Oh, it doesn't have a name? Oh, man.
Well, we did it. And you could bring it up. I know how sad it is. And I know that later tonight, I will cry to the dog again. Not maybe for this, maybe for other reasons, maybe for it all. So, you won't stop me. You won't break this unbreakable bond until the dog breaks itself. So
I think that the key is when the dog starts speaking to you and telling you to murder people, that's when things are going to change. Like when, Henry, so she has a neighbor, Michael, named Henry, who she's had a lot of tension with. When the dog starts giving you advice about Henry, that's when you need to call us, and go, I can't tell if this is real.
Well, I promise that I might do that. I promise you that. But even more important than me talking to a thing that cannot speak back to me is I'd like to get to our guest today. I'm very excited to hear from Michael DAngelo. Michael, hi.
He's waving again.
Yeah, waving again, smiling for and who hurt you, Michael?
Oh man, so many people.
He couldn't wait.
First, you guys making me do this at 9 a.m. That was motherfucker.
I want to point out to you that any timing conflict is Katharyn. Anytime it's like, oh, this is early.
I'll take it. I'll talk to the dog about it later. Don't worry.
No, it's fine. I need an excuse to get up because I just from like 6 a.m. until whenever I get up, it's usually just staring at the ceiling, thinking about every life choice, and it's not good.
You should get a dog.
I think about getting a dog. Yeah, it's not good.
You're in LA?
Yeah, I'm in LA. I've still like there's a fresh hurt that happened recently. I did a show and someone heckled me and I just wasn't of the right state of mind to get them, and it just fucked my whole setup. And that guy hurt. I was in the middle of a story, bad idea. I was the first one, and I was taking the bullet. Not a good time to tell a story. And in the middle of my story, he goes, I don't get it. And I was like, oh, you motherfucker. And I tried to be like, I was already kind of in a mood. And I was like, that's okay. You will, bitch. Shut the fuck up. And I tried to keep telling my story, but I should have just given up. I should have just given. And then I finished the story and the crowd looked at me like, yeah, you shouldn't have finished the story. And then I brought the host up. And after as soon as I brought the host up, I brought the host up and I fucking made like a comment to the guy in the crowd. I was like, thanks for ruining my joke, faggot. And everybody in the crowd, everybody in the crowd, everybody in the crowd laughed. He wasn't gay. He was just, he's an asshole. And everybody in the crowd laughed, and I heard one chick go, and I think she hurt me second with that. Like that hurt too.
Next time, call him a Jew. It's more acceptable these days.
I should have stopped telling my story and just laid into this guy, because I bet he was there alone, and I got like 100 jokes on why you're at comedy shows alone. I should have fucking. But it was a story that was good. It just fucked me up, and I've been thinking about that. That happened like a week ago, and I still think about it all the time.
Between 3 and 6 a.m. Wow.
Oh my God, what a fucking shithead. I hope he's and I heard, so I did that set. I left. I had to go I walked home because I had work to do, and I was thinking about him the whole way home. And I guess whoever was running the show that night, whatever manager was on the floor, that guy interrupted everybody's sets. He never got kicked out. I wish I would have stayed so I could have thrown him the fuck out myself.
Oh man, there's nothing. It's like, it's funny because it's like if you're a comic, as we all are, and somebody heckles you and you don't get to it, it's like, that it's like you're gonna be dying one day, and you're gonna be like, I had a great life and I ended up married, kids and money and this and that, but that fucking heckler, that guy,
thinks he added to the show, motherfucker.
Totally. And then you have to have like a Netflix special and you have to mention him in the Netflix special, and then like in order to feel better about it, where you've like roasted him on Netflix, but then you're just like, but did he see it? Did he ever see the special to know that I won, he didn't add, I won my life. This guy,
the next heckler is going to get that energy too. Like some heckler's just going to say something nice. They're going to be like, that was funny. And I'm just going to fucking lay into him. Who the fuck do you think you are talking during the show? Shut the fuck up. You're alone, aren't you? It's gonna be really bad. But then also there's a nightclub right next to my house, and they hurt me every night. Like I don't know if they're Jews or Israelites or Palestinians or from New Jersey. I don't know where they're from, but they're all celebrating like they're the Jews. It's they're very excited about.
But like Israeli Jews or like Jews who made it out of Auschwitz? Like what?
I don't know. They're just good looking women with dark hair, and I live in Hollywood, and there's nobody here that happy that's not Jewish. Everybody here. If you have dark hair and you're pretty, you're probably a Jew in Hollywood.
Okay, that's like has anyone ever said? I'm like, yeah, that's what people say to me all the time. They're like, wow, you look Jewish. You got dark hair and you're pretty and happy. That's what I get all the time.
Go to Hollywood.
Yeah, seriously.
Dude, go to Hollywood. You guys are killing it here, bro.
It's so weird when people come at you with stereotypes that aren't stereotypes. When they're just like, they're like, you're a great driver who you must be an Asian woman, and you're like, wait a minute. Did you just turn that on its head? Are you gaslighting me? You're like, no, I've heard.
In a sexy way.
Yeah, because Jewish women are not like known for being like hot and happy. We are known for having dark hair and being loud. So if that's what you're trying to say, then yeah,
they're definitely loud as fuck. They're just screaming all night. And like part of me, I'm like lying in bed and like I know the like the banter and the candor of like a drunk girl that I can fuck, and I'm just like, I bet you those girls are so loud and so drunk. I bet I could get them to come up here right now. But I'm tired. I have a girlfriend now. I just can't. It's just so upsetting.
Did you just hear that? The girlfriend thing? It's like I feel like you just slipped that in while like when I asked you to hand me like a like a straw at a club, and you're
I
like,
have a girlfriend.
I have a girlfriend. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I've got a girlfriend now. I can't fuck these Jews. It's like, whoa, Michael. Like, take it easy. You know, all I said was I'm Jewish, but
Well, my girlfriend's Palestinian. So
is she really?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was like, in that case, no, I'm kidding.
Or
yeah, I will fuck you just to prove a point. By the way, for the record, I'm not anti-Palestinian. You know, I'm just holding on to whatever makes me a victim the longest.
I've rarely been rendered speechless, but I think I didn't talk for about 3 minutes there. I enjoyed that show, whatever that was. A really unexpected energy coming from the Scorpio and the Gemini over here. That's what he is. He's a Scorpio. Can't you see it in his eyes? The twinkle in his eyes.
God.
I knew that you were the Scorpio because I know that I have been like relegated to just being a Gemini. Like anytime I do anything that like upsets Katharyn or that's like different about like, you know, anything like editing or money or whatever. She's like, well, you just have a real Gemini energy and I'm a Capricorn. I'm like, what? Like, but anyway, you know, last night I did open with a Gemini joke that did very well. So
wait, where are you? You're not in the motherland.
No, I'm not in Israel. I'm not like I'm not here with the rockets in Jerusalem, but then going out at night and doing gigs about being a Gemini. That'd be so funny if I'm like, yeah, I don't really take sides, but I do have to stand at the wall with like, you know, an Uzi. No, I am in New York. So I lived in Australia. I'm from New York. I lived in Australia for 5 years, and I met Katharyn in Scotland, where I guess you were there too. I don't think I met you though.
Where I met Michael.
Where you met in
Well, I've got a great story. Yeah. We met there. I've got a great story, which we'll get to. I actually totally forgot about it until this moment, which is insane. But you know what I mean? So you'll love this, Eve.
But I'm in, and I want to hear the story, but I'm in New York. Katharyn came to Australia to do a show with me in a festival in Australia. And then I left because of COVID. And she was like, this seems like a great place to wait it out.
Sort of, but go on.
You just started nervously fiddling with it. You're like, that's not what I said.
I'm also just terrified of the idea of getting on an airplane again, which is like really ridiculous. I'll have to bring my porcelain dog just to make sure I can make it on board. This is my emotional support animal.
Seriously, it's my companion. Totally. And they're gonna be like, you have to check it, man. He has to go below the plane. And you're like, no, but he's not alive. Die. He's alive to me. But yeah, I'm in New York, and I've just been I'm basically starting from scratch because I don't know anyone in New York, even though I've been doing stand-up 8 years. So I go to open mics and do really well. And even though it shouldn't make me feel good, it is making me feel good because I hadn't gigged for over a year until like a week and a half ago. So I'm 5 gigs in. 5 gigs in.
I am no gigs in. I am still waiting.
But you still gig during COVID though. Like,
are you guys in lockdown still, Katharyn?
We came out yesterday. And not fully out, but out to where gigs can happen again yesterday. And so, of course, so one of my new favorite pastime until my first gig tomorrow is looking at the videos of comics that should not be posted of jokes that are not ready to go, but just like, look at me, I'm out here. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, my God, we get it. Okay. You did it. You survived. Anyway, my first gig's tomorrow. I'm horrified. I'm hosting. So
don't fucking put a video up because
no, I won't unless I'm smashing. Because of course you can tell. You can fucking tell that these people are not killing. They just picked like the stupidest little moment where they're like, I'll capture this. And it's like, okay, relax. You have the rest.
I think everybody really felt my premise at 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, totally. So all the waffling that you do, because the first time I got back on stage, and it was like on a rooftop a week and a half ago, and I had 4 minutes, or 5 minutes. It's like, there's no glamour in this right now. I feel as bad doing stand-up again as I feel having sex again. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I used to be okay, and now I'm just like not okay. But other people have to be there. God, that's a premise. I should write that down. Oh my God, stand-up is like sex. Has anybody ever thought of like comedy is like fucking people? But sorry, by the way, I just moved into like a new apartment, and it's like the first time I've had roommates in so long, and I heard them open the door to their room just at that moment. and I'm so embarrassed. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like if you like have a stereotype of a comedian doing a podcast, like my roommate's a comedian, and it's like, oh my God, yeah, like doing stand-up is like having sex again. Like I'm screaming about this, and it's so bad, and they've never seen me do stand-up, so now they're like, she is who we think she is. Anyway, what's my point? Yeah, that I'm bad
You're
at
in
it.
New York.
You're in New York.
Yes, yeah, and I'm Jewish. I don't know if I mentioned that I'm Jewish. Also, my mother died when I was a child.
Don't worry, I won't ask Eve another question.
I'm sweating. That's how much coffee I've had right now. I'm sweating.
I can feel it. It's very moist over here coming through the computer.
I'm screaming at Jew haters. Anyway, so Katharyn,
well, you want your day to get worse? You want your day to get worse? Let me tell you about this motherfucker, Michael DAngelo. Are you ready?
Oh, God.
Wait, who?
Guy?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I guess, the thing is I usually write things down for people. There's been one other guest that we had that I didn't. I was like, I just am going to feel it. And when I kept being like, I got to write stuff down for Michael, it just wasn't coming. I just knew it would come out here because I remember when I met Michael. So I guess I'm going to just tell the story.
Is this the Scotland thing this is what you're talking about?
This is the Scotland thing. So I had gone, it was at the beginning of the Fringe. I had gone back to this apartment that was housing the Canadians. That's what we called them because that's where they were from, and a couple of the LA comics. Right. And a friend of mine from New York happened to be rooming with like the LA comics, I guess. And so he was like, come back to mine. We're going to smoke some weed. And then sure enough, or like I had just done the American show. That's what it was. And they were like, we're going to go smoke weed at this person's house. And it turns out it was his house with these Canadian comics as well as these LA comics. And we're standing in this like courtyard.
And when you say his house, you mean your friend?
My New York friend.
Okay.
House. Yeah. Okay. And we're standing there smoking weed. And then these like three comics rock up. And one of them was Michael. And, there's always this like, and I think you can like speak to it. There's this unspoken rivalry between like New York and Los Angeles, right? Like
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, no, it's written somewhere in stone. I just don't know where. But and it's like the beginning of the Fringe. But I'm a pretty friendly person. But of course, I'm kind of like, okay, I can tell none of these are like New York comics. These are like from other places. And then I'm like, oh, they're from LA.
Right? They're attractive, right?
Yeah. They're all beautiful. They're a little more.
They're not drinking and smoking at the same time.
Yeah. They pay attention to one activity at a time,
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, whatever. And then we end up like really kind of everybody's hitting it off. We go in to play this game called Mafia. We end up getting yelled at by
By the way, Michael, that's your game because you have like the mustache of.
I was fucking good at it that night too. I was a great liar.
Well, that's the thing. We were all sort of poo-pooing it at first, but then we started getting really involved. But then we ended up getting kicked out because one of the LA female comics needed her sleep, and we were
little cunty bitch. I hate these women. And women in comedy. Sorry,
I know, my God. Unbelievable, right? But she was like, seriously, can you guys leave my house? Like, none of us live there.
And what time was it?
Oh, it was late. It was very late.
It was late. The sun was coming up. We were building scaffolding. It was getting gnarly.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. Yeah, they were building scaffolding, right? So
I just got that. Yeah. I'm like,
we're out in the parking lot.
Good joke. Yeah.
And
I was like, did you get my joke?
No, because I'm like, what'd you say? Raffles? Scaffolding. That was a good callback, Michael.
Yeah,
I think
dude, I've been funny. Just holding on to it.
You got to caption that and put it on your Instagram, please. Like, get it out there. The people need to see it. So we're standing out. So we've left the apartment and we're all sort of grouped in the parking lot because we're kind of like, okay, where does everybody live? Because this is relatively far out from where the main Fringe hub is. And I say to Michael, I don't remember my street name right now because he was offering to walk us the ladies home.
Street name. And there was no ketamine involved in this, or there was?
No, this was but way before I started getting him. And he does, if Michael doesn't fuck with that stuff, right?
Right.
No, but every time every like next day I would see you, I'd be like, fucking, how'd you sleep? She goes, oh my God, could you hear me? Could you hear me last night? It was crazy.
She doesn't know what you're saying yet. We haven't gotten to the punchline yet.
Okay,
yeah.
Go.
So I don't remember the street name, but I'm like, I live off of this street, whatever it is. Right. And Michael goes, I live on that street. And I'm like, oh my God. And it's on the other side of the meadows, right? It's like over an hour long walk, right? And I was like, from this house we were at.
But was it like, but it's up in like Warrender Park or like Marchmont area?
Yeah, that was the street.
That was the street. That was the street.
I used to live on Marchmont when I lived in Edinburgh.
Okay.
I'm sorry to. Well, I'm very international. So
did I, because I was like, I
lived there. Okay,
well, all right. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I stayed
Back
there.
to you.
I stayed
Back
there.
to you.
So I was like, I live on Marchmont Street on the other side of the Meadows, and Michael was like, I do too, and I was like, oh, that's so crazy. Okay, we'll walk the same way, and I was like, what street number? And he was like, I think it was 56, right? He was like 56, and I was like, I live at 56. And I was like, the number 6, like on the top floor. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, you live in the same place? Like,
were you guys just renting different rooms in the same apartment?
Yeah. I had gotten there early.
He was in my room the day before.
Yes. And so I masturbated in his bed before he even got there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite things to do upon arrival anywhere, by the way.
You got to. Yeah.
I could tell by how cold it was in there. I was like, this is definitely what happened in here.
A witch came in here within the last 24 hours.
Yeah. And so then they moved me to the other floor. So then it was crazy. We were like, flatmates then for the month. And
did you tell him that you'd masturbated in his bed?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Yes, of course I did. I also told him I was a Capricorn.
Yes, I did. And
that my dad left. Yes,
all of it. He knows it all. And that was the thing. There was even this incident where this man tried to sleep in his bed one night.
God.
Yeah, this man tried to sleep in his bed. He came into his room. He was wasted. He was a guest of the people who actually live there. Mm-hmm. He tried to take your pillow and your lamp. Is that right?
You were in your bed?
I come home one night and like it's late, like it's very late, and like the whole place is dark, and I get upstairs.
I'm on ketamine.
And yeah, she's on ketamine. The light is on in my room, and I'm like, why the fuck would the light be on? I open it up, and there's some fat fucking drunk British dude. He's just out, just fucking out. And I know right away, I'm like, oh, this dude's definitely drunk. He's got to be drunk. And I like kick the bed. I'm like, hey, dude, hey, wake the fuck up. And he like sits up and he's like, oh, no, and then goes back to sleep. And I like kick the bed really hard. I'm like, get the fuck out. And he's like, oh, no. And he gets up and he takes my pillow. Oh, no, he doesn't take the pillow. He gets up and he's like stumbling and he takes the lamp. And I go, hey, put that fucking lamp down. That's my lamp.
The lamp?
He sets the lamp back down and he goes out in the hallway. And what's funny is there's like stairs right at my door.
Yeah.
And it's still pitch black in the hallway. As soon as he gets off my door, I shut the door and I'm like, good fucking luck, bud. And I think he died. That
well, no, what he did, I actually wasn't there.
Right.
Because I got home, because I did get home from probably some, bender. I'm like, ketamine bender. Yeah. And I go to the bathroom to like wash my face and somebody had puked in the bathroom. In the sink. Yeah. All in the sink. And I was like, ooh, I've done this, but I have never puked in a sink, but I've had to deal with roommates who had. And I was like, ooh, this is ugly. And I guess he puked all over their living room, all over their like couch. It was a friend of theirs. Too.
The lady, the host lady would message me like every couple of days, like, hey, could you make sure you like get all your hair out of the tub after you shower? And I was like, all right, bitch. Like, and then he throws up everywhere. That's what you get.
And it was her friend?
It was their friend, yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. So at least it wasn't like any of us, but I was also like, I don't want to get blamed for this. I don't even drink. I know you don't really drink, right, Michael?
Yeah. I mean, I was getting kind of drunk in Edinburgh, but not really.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So it's crazy. So we end up being flatmates, and Michael then offers I'll say this, like very graciously, to flyer for me if he can open for me. And and the thing is like, there are so many comics who think they're above that shit. Right. Yeah, I am not one of them. Like I tried flyering for my own show for a minute, and it was it's so painful to beg them to come and then bomb in front of them that I was I can't do that. So, we like struck this deal, and he was like, I'll do this. And I was like, great. And then he opened for me. And, so of course my first impression before we even got to talking that night, it's like, I see him rock up and I see this mustache and I'm like, oh, this guy with the confidence to have a fucking mustache like that. And then he's got this scar across his face, right? Where I'm like, oh, I bet that scar, he's raking in pussy with that fucking scar. This like, fuck boy,
pussy scar.
Yeah. His pussy scar, like you have this like impression of somebody, and then you start to actually like talk to them and know them more. And it's like, he's nothing like any of that at all. He's actually a funny comedian, unlike a lot of comedians from LA. And then, sorry, I had to throw it in there. Whoops.
That's because I'm from Las Vegas.
And it's because he's from Las Vegas.
And you're from Reno.
And I'm from Reno. Yep. So, birds of a feather. And, but he, I would say like, on just something to kind of be sort of envious of. It's like, it was both of our first Fringe. I got reviewed by Kate Copstick, which I guess at the time I had no idea what it meant, but now I understand was a pretty big deal. And I got a 3-star review that read like a 4. And he got one line in there that he'll get to use for the rest of his life that is so major. She basically said, Michael DAngelo, did this opening and he has the best cunninglingus joke at the Fringe, which is like, can you get better than that? I mean, that's like, put it on your headstone. You fucking did it. So
the only thing better would be if you actually perform. If somebody said like you perform the best.
I submitted to do that in a show for next year, and they can't print.
I'm just gonna eat pussy and get reviewed for it, and then
brilliant, though. Everybody's happy. But that's
seriously.
Yeah. But Michael and I sometimes would have these cappuccinos at the venue because they were like, they were the best at the venue for free. And, we'd talk about like deeper stuff, and like we talked to each other a little bit outside of the Fringe since then. And it's always like actual like conversations. None of this like, what can you get me when I go to New York? What can you get me when I go to, it's like real stuff about nothing having to do with comedy even, so it's like there's a real person in there, like an actual real breathing fucking person who isn't who is thinking about comedy, but is like also thinking about himself and the world. I later learned, I think like, he's been in the Army. Is that correct? It's the Army?
The Marine Corps. Yeah.
The Marine Corps.
Oh, right.
Even more like, do you know what I mean? Right. Like, I couldn't even understand.
That's what gets you pussy, by the way. It's not the scar.
That too.
The scar plus Marine Corps,
it's all the scars, you know what I mean? That you get for being
deep on the inside.
Yeah.
I mean, he's somebody who very obviously works incredibly hard. It is not above anything. Is it so handsome, so funny, and has so much more depth than just like on the face of the beautiful face. You know what I mean? You're like, you could get laid, but that doesn't mean you're gonna go do it. Just like you said, you could go out and fuck all the Jews at the nightclub, but you've got a girlfriend now, and you're gonna be a nice guy about it.
I mean, all the Jews at the nightclub. Yeah, put like that in your next poster. Best cunninlingus joke at the Fringe.
Could fuck all the Jews at the
nightclub.
Yeah, totally. Katharyn Henson. But I'm just. And, we were going to do the Fringe again together this year. We were going to do the same deal. And I couldn't wait. I was like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's like when you find the people that you work well with and that you kind of feel like aligned with in some like deeper level, it's really important, I think, to hang on to them. And I'm really grateful.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. You're talking about Michael. Yeah. Sorry.
But also, but also fuck this guy. Look at his rippling muscles. You can see him through his hoodie. I can
see. You take off your hoodie. No, you don't have to. You don't have to take off your clothes. But I'm like, you can keep them on, okay? But I can tell that you have like a real muscly physique. No. What are you? No, you're just like laugh. Okay, well, you can respond to this after. You're just being shy. So is that okay? So is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it for me. What do you have to say?
Well, I mean. I trust your opinion. I see this person who comes at me with this like nice mustache. You talking about me? What do I have to say? Or Michael? Yeah. You got this great mustache.
Starting with you, and then we're moving to him. I'm sorry. I was writing down a note about timestamps for the videos. Cut this out, but you know what I mean?
Great. More editing for me. Katharyn likes to write down throughout like what she wants to make a clip of later. Which is nice because it just looks like she's not paying attention because she's not. Like he's got this like great mustache, which like nobody can do. Like nobody can do your mustache.
No, never. I mean, and like think about what's living inside of that. I'm jealous of it.
And then you're a comedian on top of that. So it's like if you're gonna have that mustache and you're gonna go on stage with that mustache, you really have to like. There's got to be something to you that you can do it. Otherwise, it's like, who's this fucking cunt with the mustache? You know what I mean? But so you obviously are a good. I'm just judging on your mustache that you're a good comedian, right? Like I think that's a fair. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's how it works in LA. They're just like, he's got it. He looks good. Let's put him up.
But then you have to deliver, right? I mean, if
not
Katharyn
in LA. No,
you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Really?
If Katharyn says you're funny, I think you're funny. And then I don't know. I will say this, that I find you slightly intimidating, which is rare. And so I'm jealous of that. I'm not intimidating.
When you talk to him, then you kind of find that like he's a really nice person. You know what I mean? But it's kind of nice that he sort of has that like, you know, gruff about him, right? Like, you know, he's a mystery a little bit. You know, you don't know everything on the face of it, but he looks like you think you could judge it. You know, but you can't.
I'm just laughing because we're just going back and forth about you like longer than we usually do about people.
Yeah.
And we're like, he's such a mystery.
And he's not even reacting.
Yeah, you're not reacting.
That's right.
Your arms are crossed.
I don't know. Whatever you want me to start shitting on myself, I will.
Ready. Go.
We're ready. I mean, you can just tell us, just start with the worst thing that's ever happened to you. No, I'm totally kidding. but yeah, what's your response to all this?
It's very kind, but things are not okay. Things are not good. I'm just like, first of all, man, Fringe was Fringe was like the highest point of my life. Like Fringe was, oh my God. Like I had never been to a festival like that. I've never been to a festival. I've like gone to like shitty little music, like 2-day music festivals, like in a town I live in. But like I had never been to Europe. I went to Europe. And in LA, I'm helping produce all these like little underground shows, and we're barking for them. We're the door guys. We're the hosts. We're the fucking food runners, the servers. We're doing everything. And I did that for like 3 years in LA. And when I first decided to go to Edinburgh, I was like, it was more of like, man, I just want to go. I'll never get booked, blah, blah, blah. I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to get a plane ticket and an Airbnb and I'll figure it out while I'm there. And then I book all that shit. A month before I go, Rena's like, you want to open for me? I'm like, fuck yeah, I get 15 shows there. Another comic, Jay Light's like, oh, do you want to open for me? I have a show every night. I get 30 more shows. And then when I'm there, I meet Katharyn. Katharyn lets me open for her. Omid Singh finds out I'm helping people open for him. I end up opening 75 shows in 25 days.
It was amazing.
And I was barking for every show I was opening for. So I would bark for 2 hours, open that show, leave, go bark for 2 hours, open that show, leave, go bark for 2 hours, open that show. And it was like, it felt like the fucking Super Bowl for me. Like it was awesome. I felt like I had been grinding in LA, and then I got to go to Edinburgh, this beautiful city, this festival. It was fucking amazing. And then in August last year, when we didn't get to go, when I thought like, oh dude, I'm going to go to Edinburgh again this year. I'm not going to do as many shows. I'm going to go watch more shows. I'm going to fuck more chicks. It's going to be great. I had a Oh man, them too, bro. All I don't. Palestinians, Jews, same time. I bring everybody together.
Solve the conflict finally.
We all come together. Okay, that's why they killed Jesus. He was trying to get people to come together. I'm like so looking forward to August, man. I'm like, dude, my Airbnb. I have my own Airbnb this time. I don't have to fucking share with crazy girls doing ketamine in the bottom floor. But
ketamine.
I get my own Airbnb, man. I booked my flight. I saved like $400. I'm like stoked. My show didn't accept it, but I'm like, Katharyn's gonna let me open for her. I'll find one other person, and then I'm set. And then everything gets canceled. And then by August, like I have a full on like emotional, like sobbing, choking, can't talk, crying at a friend's house. Like I hadn't eaten in 3 days. I hadn't slept in a few days. And I was like, I got to get out of my house. I'm supposed to be in Edinburgh, and I'm in Vegas in the hottest month of the year, August. I'm just fucking hating my life. And my friend is like, oh, I'm having a barbecue. You should come over. So I call some comics. I'm like, hey, you guys want to go to a barbecue? I'll pick you up. I pick up these two comics, and they're in the car. Or no, one's a comic, one's just my buddy. And they're in the back seat, like talking, chopping up. And I'm just in the front seat driving, like just it's right under the surface. I'm just trying to keep it together. We get to my friend's barbecue, and she sees right away. She's like, hey, are you all right? And I'm like, I just haven't really been eating. I haven't been sleeping too well. And she's like, what's up? And I start talking to her, and I start to lose it. She's like, oh, fuck. Come in here. And she pulls me in a room, and I fucking just break down like on the floor. I'm just a fucking mess, dude. And just every trauma in my past, everything, man. And what's funny is that ex had started messaging me, and we started talking like
who did an ex? Okay,
yeah,
a girl that we broke off our engagement right before I moved to LA because she didn't trust me and blah 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 and other shit. She starts messaging me during COVID like, hey, you were right, I should have trusted you and all this shit. Oh, God. And like now I'm like now I've been trapped in my house for 6 months. I don't know if I'm ever going to have a career again. Everything that I banked on like making work is now like, it's not going to happen. Edinburgh's gone. And like my self-worth, I'm a workaholic. Like my self-worth comes from having little wins and making shit happen and having things coming together and helping people and seeing all these little successes, and nothing's happened. So I'm just like, I feel like she's now, she lives in Guam. She's at the top of her field in Guam. She's like the number one she's the number one behavioral therapy specialist in Guam, which isn't saying much. It's I was gonna say, I'm like,
are there a ton of like behavioral?
You had to go to Guam. You had to go to Guam to make it, bitch. Anyways, but like she's just like killing it, and I'm fucking losing my mind in Vegas. I'm hating my life. So I have this hardcore mental. I hit rock bottom so hard. I find my girlfriend in August. That's where I was at. I find someone to be codependent on, so that I could build myself back up again. And,
God, I wish I could fucking do that every time I hit rock bottom. Wait, let me ask, how old are you?
I'm 30.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then I turned 30 during COVID. So just fucking stack it on now, that too. And I started, so COVID just beat the shit out of me, man. I was right before COVID. I'm sure like many others, like there was so much cool shit set to happen for me. We were selling out shows at the Belly Room at the Comedy Store. Like and then now I'm back. I'm back in it, and I was living in my car in LA for 3 years before that.
Sleeping in your car, sleeping in there too.
Up until they shut LA down, March 13th, I was in my fucking car, and then like I was here for like 4 days after they shut everything down, and I wasn't doing much. I was literally at my friend's house, like doing drugs on the couch. And I was like, I'm not really feeling like an artist anymore. I think I'm just a drug addict. So I was like, I'll go home. I was like, it didn't feel good. I was like,
really? What gave it away?
Everybody else was like, fuck yeah, COVID, dude. Let's just do drugs. And like after 3 days, I was like, but what do I do for work? Like, what am I, who am I now?
Yeah.
You know?
What's my purpose? Drugs.
And they were like,
you were like living in your car, like sleeping there, clothes.
Yeah.
Where did you shower and stuff?
24-hour fitness every morning. Yeah.
And where would you park to sleep?
Neighborhoods, like just find a neighborhood.
And what was the purpose of, what was going on? Like, why did you?
I own a condo in Las Vegas, and it's not like some super expensive condo, but I have bills there. I have a mortgage and all that shit. And I'm like, I could be one of your people. I'm so fucking cheap. Like, you don't even know. Like, oh my God. Like nothing makes my dick harder than saving money. Like,
me too. I got to tell you, Katharyn and I have had conversations because I think she expected me to be more like one of those people. And I'm like, right. So I think this is the fun part about being Jewish is everyone's like, you guys are so cheap. And I'm like, I leave my finances to the universe. And like,
that makes me so nervous.
And Katharyn's like, did you account for the $2.14 tax that was going to go? And I'm like, oh, but babe, like, just let go, abundance. And she's like, oh my God.
It's fine. I'm a Gemini. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm like, the universe has my back, But so wait, were you paying for your condo in Vegas while you were living in LA? Like you weren't subletting?
Yeah. Well, so I moved my sister into one of the bedrooms. So she was paying half the bills, but I was still paying those bills or half the bills there. Plus, why? What?
Why didn't you just sublet it completely and not pay?
Because word to the wise, when you buy a condo, the HOA has like they're fucking Nazis about like who gets the fucking. If like literal Nazis, like
I was like Nazis.
Stand how big of not like
this is turning me on. All this Jew Nazi talk. I'm like, oh, I'm wet. It's kind of early.
There's like a renter's cap, and you have to like they have to only a certain amount of people can rent and own. Which like I get it. The places they take care of the place, so whatever. But so I had to like low key rent out to my sister, and so I'm paying bills there. And I'm like in LA, I started doing shows for the Marine Corps, and I would rent a van, load it up with comics, and we would go drive out to do a show. And I had to buy all this production gear. I'm producing other shows. So I'm taking all my money that I'm making and spending it on trying to do cooler shit in LA and figure out how to get more stage time. And I'm just losing money in LA. I'm literally just paying to perform, like having to produce my own shows, free shows, blah, blah, blah. I'm paying to go to Fringe, shit like that. So I'm just spending all my money trying to hustle and do fun shit that makes me better at comedy in LA. So living in the car was fine. Like it was a good trade-off, It wasn't like it was like when I started coming to LA on the weekends, and I was like, I saw right away because I'm a dive bar comic from Vegas. Like my comedy is good for like smoky rooms and people who have like really like to laugh at sexual assault, you know? So I come to
you entertain rapists. That's like your whole thing. Yeah.
I mean, I don't entertain rapists. I'm entertaining to rapists. But I come to LA and I start seeing all these guys go up in these clubs and they're so good. And I'm like, oh man, I got to get the fuck out of Las Vegas. Right. And it was worth it. I was like, I could move to LA, live in my car, save money, keep my place in Vegas, and I can get better at comedy and be around all these people that are like hustling. And honestly, I would have moved to New York if it would have been closer. I should have fucking moved to New York. I wish I would have moved to New York. I still think about moving to New York every day.
New York is still here. And I got to tell you, it feels like a really good time to move to New York.
Here's my problem with New York City is if I move to New York City, I'm either going to get killed or I'm going to kill somebody. Like what I hear about the crime and people robbing people, that shit upsets me so bad. I want to move to New York and just kill people that are being bad people. It makes me want to be Batman, dude. Like can't believe
it's not like that though.
Bad shit going on. Dude, you're a liar. I hear it all the time from people. All I hear from people about New York, I hear three things. I hear the weather is gonna fucking make you hate your life.
I love
it. And you're gonna get robbed. No, but the comedy is the best in the world.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like that. I mean, the truth is, it's like, look, we're all a bunch of like hipster fucking snowflakes who've gentrified all these fucking neighborhoods. Some people do get mugged. And also it's like, not that I want to get mugged or that I would think this if I were mugged, but it's like, you have to understand too, that like the reason people are mugging people is because they have no fucking money and no opportunities.
Yeah, but then there's the CIA. Listen, the CIA.
Do you believe in COVID? Are you one of these people who's like, it's not even real, 5G?
In the 60s, CIA was pretending to be whores so they could drug people and dose them with fucking LSD. I think the CIA is doing weird shit in LA and New York City.
I agree.
Here we go. Imagine being robbed by like a black guy. That would be scary to be robbed by anybody. But imagine being robbed by a guy pretending to be a black guy. He's just a dude in the CIA robbing people so that he can make black people look bad.
And he's pretending to be a black guy, so he's like not black. He's just like
yeah, dude.
He's like a white man wearing a wig,
now I'm just running bits, and I'm sorry.
Thank God this is a bit. Thank God.
I'm terrified.
I agreed with.
I'm terrified to move to New York because of all the fucking just the chaos and the problems. And I'm still poor. No, you know what's funny is I was supposed to go visit. I had an Airbnb booked. I was going to go after Fringe. I was going to go spend a week there in October.
So you've never been to New York?
No, never.
You're drinking too much Kool-Aid, man.
And honestly, I know, you know, we know each other. We don't know each other, but we know each other. I really could see you just merging.
You would
really
love
wonderful. I see it for you. Yeah.
You're talking about chaos. I'm like, you're way more chaotic than anything I've seen in New York in so long.
I mean that in a compliment.
Yes. And so I'm like, people, you don't have to worry about like the overwhelming city. Like I'm like a very like, not meek, but like I'm a totally anxious Jew. New York is full of anxious Jews. We wouldn't all be like living here if it were just like guns in the streets. You know what I mean? Like, it's
just
you go
talking for a second.
What are you doing? What should do? Should just keep talking. I'm just gonna go.
Dude, that's a nice sweater she was wearing. It's like it was one of those multi sweaters, like had different shit on it. She's definitely from New York, wearing shit like that.
She's definitely from New York. You just have to come here because, like, I get what you're saying, but it's like I feel. Do you watch Fox News?
No, I don't watch the news. I don't watch TV. I can't even watch movies. I can't watch shows. I just can't watch. Everything on TV, everything, whether it's a show or news, just reminds me of how fake the world is, and it makes me upset.
I'm like, look, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I read the New York Times, and I think that they're like the most kind of reliable news source, but they definitely have a huge bias. So it's like, even when COVID cases are going down, they're like, COVID cases are going down, but this is why you're probably going to die of COVID anyway. And it's like, why are you reporting it this way? You should just be reporting numbers and facts and all that stuff. And I think that the rest of the reporting is like all kind of intended to do the same. I mean, even the numbers about New York, it's like crime is on the rise in New York because, well, I'm sure that there's a lot of reasons for it, but it's like, for the most part, and I do feel more vulnerable for sure, but for the most part, like, I mean, there's millions of fucking people here, and it's like, it's all right, you know?
I do think there's something to be said, and I'm not saying that, like, you know, people are asking for it, but there is something about the energy you put out there, right? Like, I lived there for 15 years. Somebody tried to take my iPod from me once because I was literally like waltzing down the street with a big cord of headphones, and he was just riding by on a bike and tried to get it and didn't. Do you know what I mean? Like the energy, I don't know. I think, you know, I'm very much a pessimist or whatever, or I like to call it realist. And I think like there's a lot of bad people out there, but I do think, from my personal experience in New York for 15 years, barely leaving it, not proud of that, but that was true. I found most of my interactions with people to be good. You know, like
New York's like got a huge heart, like as a city.
Yeah.
I mean, you have all these fucking people living together. You've got like super religious Jews, like actually they're my least favorite people because I feel like, I mean, because I feel like
Palestinian now. No.
I know. I feel like the really religious Jews are like a cult, you know, like the super one. But you got all these really religious Jews. You've got like Black people who grew up here at a time, you know, when like, I mean, I don't know what the schools are like now, but like in a lot of areas where like the schools didn't even have windows, forget about desks and pencils and all this shit. And then you've got like the Upper East Side people, and then the people, you know, people who bought all the brownstones, and they all,
there's everybody.
And as much as it's like people can be cunts and all this stuff like that, somehow people get through it, and they find a way to live with each other and all this stuff.
And it can't be any worse than LA.
yeah. LA, you guys just spend all the time in your cars, like kind of
sleeping in it in your case, I guess.
yeah. But here you got to take the subway. You got to sit next to the people who you're like, oh, you know, like
they smell like piss.
Yeah. And maybe on Instagram you'd fight with them, but you still have to sit next to them. And then I don't know, you just it kind of, I think, makes you understand that you can live with more people than you think you can. So I mean, that's why I appreciate about New York is like, you can't always have it your way. You're not just going to be surrounded by people like you, and that makes you kind of grow. I think you'd probably like it, honestly.
I think you would like it. And I guess one of the reasons I also, and you know, we can talk about this as much as you want to or don't want to, but like learning you were in the Marine Corps, like, you know, I know very little about any of those types of boundaries or rules or anything aside from like, you know, being sent to something that had nothing to do with that. Like, you know, when I was like a kid, right? This place I got sent to. So I'm curious to know anything you would want to share about like that decision or that time in your life, or what you got out of it, whether it's good or bad. I mean, how it's influenced you. I mean, it seems like maybe it's influenced you to work hard and build your own thing no matter what, you know, and to persevere. I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, but I'm just kind of curious about it.
And can I ask one more thing too? Can I ask one other question too? Because
Sure.
I don't know you, so I can't read you. But like when you're hearing us say all this stuff about New York, does that make you curious, or do you feel like defensive? Like, how are you feeling about like this whole?
It gives me like this feeling of like doubt.
Okay, you're skeptical.
Not of New York. Like what sells me on New York is the third thing I said. Every time I talk about it, comics, they go, it's the best comedy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, if you go to New York, you're going to get better or you're going to quit. Like that's just what it is. So I want to go to New York. I really do want to go move there. If I could find work there, so I wouldn't have to starve to death while I'm there, I'd probably move to New York. But my thing is like, now I'm like rebuilding, but I spent the last 4 years in LA trying to figure out LA. And now that I'm starting to figure out LA,
right.
Like now it's like, oh fuck, I'm just figuring out how to make money in LA. And now it's like, oh, do you just fucking get up and leave and go? Mm-hmm. So it's hard. But what I want to do is I'd like to go visit New York once COVID's fucking done. Because my work now, I do like video. I edit a bunch of video for people. So it's easier for me to like work from a computer. But yeah, I'm going to end up in New York. I feel I'll end up going there eventually. I wish I would have gone there first instead of LA. I think I'd be a better comic for sure. I think, I don't know. Yeah. And now that's another fucking low point. Like right now, I write every day. I try to fucking, I go through, listen to sets. I'm working on shit. And everything I write right now is just garbage. And I'm so tired of like anytime I do shit that's material from before COVID, I fucking hate it. And anytime I hear someone tell jokes that they had before COVID, I'm like, you fucking loser piece of shit. How did you not write anything the whole time? And
maybe he
I don't
can't open for me
either.
anymore.
I feel so sick with myself that I haven't come up with any, like, and I have a few new bits. Like I have maybe like 5-10 minutes of new material, but it's like, I get so bored with material so fast. And pre-COVID in LA, I had to bring note cards on stage because I was writing so much and I had so much material that I couldn't remember it. And I was always working on new shit, that's like my fucking zone. I love having so much new material that I'm excited about. And I don't know which one. I would give my friends a stack of note cards. I'd be like, here, pick out 4. That's the set I'm doing tonight. And I would just go off those. Now I can't fucking write new jokes to save my life. And I'm that whole fucking like self-worth thing is like, I feel, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm just a video editor now. I guess I'll just edit videos. I don't have to do comedy anymore.
He sounds like me a few months ago, doesn't he?
Why do you think you can't write?
I don't know. I'm calling it writer's block for now. I don't know. I'm trying to tell myself, I used to have a really good mantra and it was working well for me before in LA. Like this shit's a roller coaster ride. The entertainment game, comedy, the hustle. Like one day you're up here and it feels so fucking good. You can see the whole theme park. You're fucking, it's exciting. But man, those lows, man, the lows are gnarly. But you got to remember during the lows that like, it's going to come back up again. You just got to ride it out. And sometimes they last. Usually they were only lasting about a week for me in the past. Like pre-COVID, I would have like a bad week, but then fucking just something would happen, whether it was new material or an opportunity or just fucking things would change, the brain chemicals, and I'd be up again, fucking killing it, excited, wins. And now it's like, it's been like, I don't know, probably, I'm having like little wins, but I don't know, man. This shit sucks, dude. I feel like shit. I hate it.
I empathize. We talked when I was in Australia, and then we talked again a little bit over text when I was like, I don't know if I like said this like point blank to you, but like high key suicidal, like 100%. Like Eve actually has had to deal with it more, as much, if not more than Mark. Right. And you kind of like expressed what you're expressing now to me. And then I kind of was like, yeah, well, I'm in this lockdown. I literally, that we came out of yesterday, and it was so hard because I kept kind of hinging everything on, okay, well, once it opens up and once this, I'll be okay then, and once this happens outside of me, I'll be okay then. And then I had to, even beyond the stuff we talked about when I was in Australia, like I had to really like dive deep in me and fix it from the inside out. And I'm not saying that you need any fixing or that's what you need to do, but what I'm hearing you say sounds so familiar to what I was feeling. Like I was blocked. I wasn't writing anything. I was like, when I go back out there, I'm doing the same old shit. So I should just put a gun to my head now because I don't even want to say it. I don't want to say it. They don't want to hear it. I'm not connected to it, like all this stuff. And it's just, I've gone on a personal journey, whatever. And I feel like a lot better about everything, even though very little about it has changed, So I, of course, would be happy to have another phone call with you sometime off of the podcast about it if you're interested. But also, I'm not trying to get anybody to join my cult. It only costs $9.99 a month. No, I'm kidding. But I feel you, and I think you and I are similar in that way where we got a lot from the activity. And even if it wasn't like these huge wins, if it was good enough to keep us going, and it was easy to not compare ourselves to others or anything. If we were like knew we were moving forward in a way we felt good about, and to feel like forced to be stuck, it's hard. It's got to be really hard. And I know you'll be okay because you are a strong person. No, don't
keep
you
going. You just keep going. The thing is I tried when I was in Vegas, when I was there during COVID, I was going. At one point, I was like, fuck it. I got to get a job. I'll just get a job. I'll get a job. I can't sit at home anymore. And I got a job and I worked at a casino doing security for like 2 months. And it was like, I think I needed to do that because going back to like a regular job and working with like regular, not that I was a door guy at a comedy club in LA, while I was here, but like working a job that had nothing to do with comedy and comedy not on the horizon. Everything's kind of still in lockdown. It gave me like this thing like, oh man, like I don't want to do this. I would rather be a poor, frustrated, mediocre comic than ever go back to work at a regular job and be like, well, I'm not going to really chase the comedy thing anymore. Like the alternative to like what's happening now and the struggles I'm dealing with, I would still rather be doing this. I would still rather be here and chasing it and trying and going after it. And trying to figure out the landscape, whether it's in LA or wherever, man. I don't want to do anything else. It's everything else is just way, that's the thing, is everything else is way sadder. It's way more sad just trying to go someplace and integrate with regular people. Man, if like, I'm not a morning person, but I don't like being late for shit. I hate being late. So I show up to work like 20 minutes early, 30, especially you get a new job. Like, I don't know how distances and traffic. I'm like, I'm probably just going to get there really early to make sure I don't fuck this up. But when you get there early, you got to get there with the rest of the weird motherfuckers that get there early, who've been working there a long time. They're just early because they don't want to be at home with their fucking family. And we're sitting in the break room, and and I don't watch the news. I can't even watch Netflix. And they got like the morning 8 a.m. morning news. And it's just, the morning news is the fucking worst. It's just 6 motherfuckers in hair and makeup. They're not comedians. They're not entertainers, and everything's an inside joke. They're just all laughing with each other. And then the motherfuckers that are there early are laughing, telling their corny ass jokes. I just wanted to yell the N-word at the top of my lungs just to shake shit up. Just to be like, yeah, I guess it's not what we thought, huh? Oh, man, it was so hard to go into work every day. It was terrible, man.
There's something about the two of you that is so similar that I'm like, oh, this so makes sense to me. Because, like that, I was trying to write new material for last night. I've been trying to write new material, and I couldn't write during COVID. I was trying, but I was just like, I can't, I'm just someone I have to like write and then get on stage that day. Yeah. It doesn't matter to me. It's like, cause I can kind of talk about anything. And as long as I'm having fun talking about it. So I don't really know what I like until I'm on stage, or until after I come off stage and I've recorded it and I can listen. I'm like, yeah, I like that. And then this other thing that I worked so hard on, I'm like, I don't give a shit about this. But I was trying, because now I've done a few gigs again. I was trying to like write new, and I was like going over shit yesterday, and I was like miserable. And then I was like, what am I doing? Like, I love stand-up, and I don't need to like prove anything right now. I just need to do it again so I can feel good about it. And then like, obviously when you get into that good space, you feel more creative, you feel fulfilled, you feel like your life is going somewhere, even if it's not. Like, you just have those like, you get on stage and you just have like a night, and you get into the sweet spot, you gig every day for however long, and sometimes you're but you're like, I don't feel good. I'm not funny. And then you just gig through it. And then all of a sudden you're like, fuck, I'm funny. And that's when shit just comes, and you can get on stage and talk about it, and you just have a punchline right there. And so last night I did this set where like, I don't think I did anything. I did do like one new thing, but it was like a short set and whatever. But I had so much fun. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is me. Like, here's a little piece of me I haven't seen in over a year, that I used to see every single day and was like the core of my identity. And I'm like, so why the fuck do I need to be writing new material right now? I do want to write new material, but I'm not going to shit on myself because I can't do that right now. Like, we just went through a fucking pandemic, it's like, and it's like comics are there like, you have to be better than the world. It's like, but we're not better. We're the worst. Like, that's why we do this. Like, we're, what I mean? We're just like trying to be like type A about our failure. Like, the whole reason that we're comedians is because we can't do things like other people. And then we're like, no, I will act like this is an office job, even though the whole thing is that I can't fit into that part of society. Yeah. So it's like, you just got to go with like, well, this is where I'm at. I'm a creative person. I really need a lot of wins to feel good. So I'm just going to take my little wins, whatever. I'm going to masturbate in a public toilet. I'm going to go on stage, like, I'm going to like do my fun shit. I'm going to whatever. And then it comes back. But I hear what you're talking. So the reason I said you guys are like each other is because I can tell that you both, and I'm actually like this too, but the way that you do it, I don't know, there's something about each of you that reminds me of the other. You like put so much pressure on yourself that it's like, well, no wonder you can't come up with a fun new bit because you're fucking miserable.
Yeah. I find myself in that mindset where like, it's like, it's almost sickening, but it's kind of a miserable place where you're just like, you'll be doing something and someone will say something and someone will be like, yeah, I went to the store and I bought potatoes today, and the potatoes were a little more expensive. You hear someone say that and you're like, oh, what's funny about that? Can I make that a joke? You're like, why can't I just fucking relax and experience life?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I found for me, in this time, I needed to clear what you and I relate on, I needed to clear it. I didn't even realize I needed to clear it. It was clogging up my ability to see the funny in the potatoes being more expensive. Do you know what I mean? Like I knew I can like see, I'm like, yeah, it should be funny. I can say, you know, but now I can see what the funny thing is about it. And there's nothing, I'll tell you that there's nothing there.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, just put it in the later pile. It's not for a today joke. Yeah.
The later pile is fucking getting huge though.
Yeah. But I know from me and like to you, and I'm never going to tell anybody what to do or whatever, but I think it's just like, yeah, it's like finding the thing that's going to clear that space for you so you can be the great comic you know you are and not hate yourself every hour of every minute of every day when you're not coming up with the thing and you see other people and how are they doing it? How did their hack joke make it on Netflix during a pandemic while you're sitting here rotting away? You know what I mean? Like shit like that. And like, that was like me. That was one of my issues. I'm not saying that's one of yours, but it's like, I couldn't even get on the internet, you know, like, or whatever. And now I can, and I can even be happy for my friends again and stuff like that. And I'm writing jokes again. And I don't hate myself as much. And I don't lie awake at night hating, you know, what I have and haven't done. So it's like, you know, it's interesting to see us both kind of on a similar journey. And I know you're going to get there. It's going to be fine. And maybe you'll get there just because shit will get better and you'll start, your stuff will come out and whatever. But until then, I do want to ask you, because I'm just sort of curious now. I mean, I've sort of heard it, but like, or did you want to say something?
You were going to ask about the marine stuff, right? Because I was kind of curious.
Well, I didn't get to that. Sorry.
Well, I wasn't sure. See, that's the thing. I wasn't sure if you wanted, because you know what I mean? Sometimes when people gloss over it, that means
I'll talk about it. I have no problem.
Yeah.
I just grew up extremely not like extremely. We had water that came out of the sink, but just, you know, like very poor, and my parents were drug addicts, and it's one of those things where like I was my dad says this often where he's like, you know, when you were a kid, the doctors tried to put you on medication and give you all kinds of drugs to like calm you down and straighten your head out. And I was like, fuck no. And like, as an adult, now I think about that. I'm like, yo, maybe I needed that shit. Like maybe you should have let them put me on some drugs. Because I was so aware. Like I was doing my own laundry at 6 years old. Like I was very like hyper. And I didn't even realize I had anxiety, that my anxiety was anxiety until like 4 years ago. I was like, oh, that's fucking anxiety. That's what that is. And no one knew that when I was a kid. They were just like, oh, you got stomach aches. I'm like, okay, I guess that's what it is, you know?
Right. You just vomit blood. That's just a thing that you do.
Yeah, for real.
And can I ask,
diarrhea.
Can I ask, I don't know if it's too personal, but can I ask what kind of addicts your parents were?
They were speed freaks. They did. Well, my mom did everything. My she was like a real bad heroin addict. I haven't even seen her in like 10, 15 years.
Right.
So I was watching these adults that were in charge of me ruin their lives. And I'm just like, why can't you just figure it out? Why are you not paying the bills? Why do you keep letting her steal from us? Why is this happening? Why don't we just do the shit we're supposed to do? So I'm just like craving control of my own life. And the day I turned 17 and a half, I joined the Marine Corps. You're allowed to join when you're 17. Right. I left high school in the middle of my junior year. I took my transcripts from the office, went and took my GED, got my GED, joined the Marine Corps. But I was just trying to escape, just trying to get out, because I was a shitty kid too. Like me, all this, this fucking energy, call it creative energy or whatever, but having no place to put it. I was out in the streets fucking doing dumb shit with my friends, and we were animals, and my friends were, I was more of a cunt than my friends. I think I just had the ability to like say fucking I couldn't roast people, but like if someone was fucking stupid or something was fucked up, I was the first one to like go off on a monologue about why it was fucked up or stupid. And I was really good at hurting people's feelings. And my friends were like, they thought that was like, oh, that's cool. That kid's like, he'll say anything, you know, and they were all like, my friends were like, they loved to fight. They were stealing cars. They were selling drugs. And I never stole cars. I didn't like to fight. Any fight I ever got into, I was just trying to like break it up. And I've started getting in trouble for worse and worse and worse shit. My friends started going to jail and youth camps. And I was like, if I don't get the fuck out of Las Vegas, like if I don't separate myself from this, I know that I'm going to end up in prison or worse. So I joined the Marine Corps, and the Marine Corps in a way saved my life, you know, but after 4 or 5 years of that, I was like, oh, this ain't for me either, because it's just more dumb motherfuckers in charge of you. I was like, oh, you guys are like my parents, except none of you are doing speed. You're just fucking idiots.
And what years were you in the Marine Corps?
2008 to 2013.
Wow.
And so where did you go?
I got lucky, man. I got to go to Central America. I went to Belize for a little while.
Right.
And then I got to go to Southeast Asia. I went to like Japan, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Korea, Thailand.
Oh, I used to live in Korea next to the military base.
Oh, it's beautiful, man. Korea is amazing. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. When I joined, I was like, because I was coming from such a dark place, I was like, I don't want to go back to Las Vegas. I want to just, the best thing for me is I get to fucking die doing crazy shit. And all I wanted to do was like go into the shit. And my recruiter sold me on that too. He was like, oh yeah, dude, if you just go and you don't get held back and you're, in boot camp and you go through machine gunner school with no problems, like you'll get to check in with your unit, and your unit is scheduled to go to Iraq in March, and you get out of your machine gunner school in February. And I checked into my unit in February, and they were like, oh no, they started the work up in December. You don't get to go to Iraq with them. And I freaked out so bad. I wrote a letter to the senator, and they fucking, and
send me to Iraq.
Yeah. Right. And the senator reached out to like headquarters Marine Corps, like, what the fuck's going on with this young Marine writing senators? And I got so much fucking trouble. And they hated me from there on out, and it was fun.
And so they punished you by sending you to like beautiful places, basically.
No, they punished me by not sending me to more schools. So like the Marine Corps has a system where like once you get in, like all they want to do is train you to become a better warfighter or a better leader. And that means like all different kinds of schools that they can send you to on your spare time when you're not deployed. They can send you to like marksman school or scout school or a next level machine gunner school or a helicopter jump school, all kinds of crazy shit. And they wouldn't fucking send me out to schools. I had to like fight tooth and nail to get every opportunity that I could, because the same thing I was when I was a kid. If something was stupid or fucked up, I was the first one to like go off on a monologue about how you don't know what the fuck you're doing and why things are and a couple of people, like a lot of people in the Marine Corps loved me, like other people that were like hip to the bullshit. But everyone that was just kind of like passing the buck to the next person was like, fuck this kid, you need to shut up, because we're all just trying to get through it. When I was like, I was just the young guy that didn't know any better, and I would just fucking, and I'm not right now. I hurt my back in the Marine Corps, but I was in like really, really good shape. I became like, there's 3 types of people in the Marine Corps. You have your like Bible thumpers, you have your fucking, your alcoholics, and then you have like your gym junkies, like the guys who just become like a top shape. And I drank a lot in middle school and high school. Like I partied really hard. So by the time I was 21, I didn't even drink anymore. I was like, I'm over this shit. I don't want to do that anymore. Wow. And I'm not, me and God we don't text anymore.
You guys don't fuck. You don't, we don't fuck with each other.
Yeah. Our Zoom meetings, it's just, sometimes I'll show up and check in. He's never in the room. So I became like a PT stud. Like I just got in really good shape. And then I became the guy who would talk a lot of shit, but no one could they were like, go run or fucking go carry that. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Like I just knew they were going to find ways to fuck me. So I just tried to get good at everything,
Wow. That's a pretty intense story. My dad kind of had a similar experience. He's like a lot older. He's like 86 now. But when he was a kid, his dad died, and then he started getting into fights in New York, and he got kicked out of school after he accidentally punched a teacher in the face, and all this stuff. And then he dropped out, and he ended up joining the Navy during the Korean War, and went to the Navy, went to Korea, and but got to travel everywhere. And he said it changed his life, that it kind of straightened him out, because after that, then he got his GED, or I think he got his GED in the Navy and all that stuff. But I mean, it is really good for those things. I think if you grow up in a way where you feel like, I think especially if you can't rely on your parents and you're looking for some kind of structure in the chaos, it seems like the Navy or the military in general, or Marine Corps or whatever, you will get fucking structure. It's like they teach you what your parents couldn't teach you, which is how to control yourself. Right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah. So for me, it was it was a little bit different. Like my lifestyle as a kid was so stressful. And there was so little structure that like I welcomed that shit. Like
that's what I mean. Yeah.
I was like, I get food every day. We get 3 meals.
You get up at the same time every fucking day.
Yeah. It was like, it was so relaxing. Guys would freak out and cry. Like, guys would break down and lose their minds. And I used to get in trouble, particularly in boot camp. I would get in trouble for laughing and smiling too much because it was just, it was funny. We would play like the dumbest games that were just designed to stress you the fuck out, to break you, to make you just be like, I can't do it, or why are we doing it? You know, just to make you get to a place mentally where you couldn't handle it anymore. Like a lot of people they don't know this, but like the Army and the Navy and the Air Force, they actually do like a lot more physical fitness than the Marine Corps. Like we do a lot of hiking. We do more hiking than everybody else, but like running and push-ups and pull-ups, like all those other military branches are really heavy into physical fitness. But the Marine Corps is like 99% mental. They work on fucking with your head. They want to put you in a place where you mentally cannot handle what you're doing and then try to get you to continue to do your job. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was so used to being mentally stressed out as a kid that I would just like kind of look around at the chaos and be like, this is fucking hilarious. Like you guys are losing it over this. Like this is what breaks you.
Wow.
One thing I wanted to say is like, not every 17-and-a-half-year-old has the wherewithal to be like, I'm going to make this change in my life. Like, you know, like I know some do, or some are like, I'm doing this for a reason or whatever. But like a lot of people would have just continued on that path. Like, and I'd say this is sort of another parallel, not to bring it back to me, but it's always about me, you know, but it's like, you know, when I was smoking meth at 17 and I sat there and I was smoking meth and I was accepted into a college in New York. And I was saying to myself, I can't like go there with a drug problem. Like, where will I get the drugs? I don't know anybody.
Right.
Like, but you know what I mean? And I had to be like, all of my close friends are smoking meth still, but I just have to stop. And I guess I have to stop talking to them. And I have to make this choice, you know, because people are like, was it hard? And it's like, it wasn't hard because I guess I just, like you, like looked at the path and I was like, I can't go down that path. That doesn't make any sense for my like whole life. So I have to go clean and then go like see the next chapter. And so it's like you made that choice, obviously, for a longer period of time and doing a much, you know, kind of more intense thing. But, you know, that says a lot about you. That's 17 and a half being like, here we go. Like, I'm doing that.
Yeah, and what's funny is like looking back now, like as a fucking 30-year-old with a bad back and bad knees, I'm like, Jesus Christ, how did I do that? Like I don't. Even goddamn it. As soon as it did it again, I was like, I'm gonna change the fucking location. My fucking friend bought it. My roommate bought a fucking tripod. I'm gonna use this tripod.
Well, I think it's like a survival instinct, isn't it? It's like when you just can see. I mean, especially I think if you have parents. If your parents are addicts and if you can see through it, like some people's parents, I know people whose parents are addicts and they think their parents are the greatest. They're so much fun. They're this or that. And other people, it's like, you can see through it and you're just like, I don't want to be like you. And maybe you love them. Maybe you don't feel like you love them, whatever it is. But you're like, I got to get out of here. Right. Is that?
Yeah, it was like being trapped around a bunch of people that were just constantly making the same mistake, and you're a kid, and you're just like, what? Why are you? Stop doing that. Like, stop doing that. Like, we can get to point B if you just fucking stop doing this, but we're stuck at fucking square one every month again. It was extremely frustrating, and now. As an adult, like I understand a little more about life and I understand why my parents made some of the decisions they did, but still they shit the bed pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
But that probably, you know, as a comedian, then when you're talking about trying to write and stuff, there's probably this thing of like, well, just do the work. Just don't fuck up. Just do the thing. You know, you sit down and you try to have control and you try to like, be like, you know, don't shit the bed, basically. And it doesn't work that way, I think. I mean, I think it's a combination, right? I think a lot of comics do fuck up their chances by they get in a good place and then they just drink it away. Or they convince themselves that like, oh, I don't even have it. And it's like, you do have it. You just have to keep going and stop, you know, worrying so much about where you're at right now. Just keep going. I've seen that happen. People who are really talented, who are doing well, who just convince themselves that they're never going to get anywhere. And you're like, do you know where you are? Because I'm looking at where you are and that looks pretty fucking good to me. But then they just walk away. But so I think that there's that, like, there's like what you're talking about. It's like, just keep focusing, keep doing the work. But then also a little bit of compassion, you know, like,
well, which is where I think I've had to learn compassion for myself.
Right.
And I've talked a lot about this. I've realized like I have a lot more compassion for others and their mistakes that they make, even if it hurts me, right? And like so little for myself and my own mistakes to myself, or like what I can do, or I'm not doing enough and I waited too long to start stand up and I deserve to suffer and I'm suffering and I'm not this and I'm not that and I suck and whatever. And I think maybe you and I sort of have the same sort of thing there. And I think we've learned that just sort of not shitting the bed didn't work for coronavirus. You and I didn't shit the bed. This happened to us.
Yeah.
It happened to us in this way. Yes. It wasn't our fault. And we're spinning, trying to do, for at least for me, everything we can to make it okay or make it like less bad and like keep it, the plates going, you know, and it's not working. And that's when I had to learn like the new sort of thing to do to make that okay within me. So I didn't kill myself, you know, because I couldn't write a new joke, you know? Yeah.
You didn't have control. It's a surrender thing. It's like this is what it is. And it's not my,
Yeah. And being really at peace with that, which is still hard. I mean, you know, like I know we have to wrap up here because I also have to go do another podcast, cut that out. But, and this is really,
I'm not
good.
I'm leaving that in. Yeah.
Okay. Hilarious. Yeah, I know. I'm so important. But like for me, I like, cause I've been doing like this, I've been doing Wim Hof breathing. Maybe you've heard of him. I've been doing Wim Hof breathing. I've been doing the cold showers and I've been doing transcendental meditation because the mantra works for me. My brain's I can't ever clear it. Mindless.
How did you find your mantra?
I started, so I tell everybody the first one I started with, I was just saying Brum, and it's now evolved into like sort of, I think a 3 or 5 syllable one that like, I just kept doing it.
But they give it to you, right? Or you find a thing.
No, and I can send it to you if you want, because I got real stuck on like, oh, if I don't pay £1,000 to go to
the fuck.
No, I found this guy and I did all that research where people are like, no, you're doing it wrong if you don't go and whatever. And people like to pay for things and let them, like, that's fine. And they've helped lots of people and that's great. I didn't have the money for that. So I kept just sort of, it
can't be that like meditation only works if you have money. Do you know what I mean? That's like such a bullshit
I had no money.
concept.
I had money stolen from me. We never got to this, like, you know, with you and I, Michael, I got most of it back. But the point is I had no money and I just tried. And then I found this guy on YouTube. I've even said it to my mom. She started meditating. So, and I was like, I told her, I was like, you're not going to like the way this guy looks. Cause he's like, has face tattoos and a septum ring and his dog is eating in the background. And he like wrote a little thing. Sorry for my dog. It was dinner time. And that's what made my mom fall in love with him. She was like, he cares about his pets. I've watched the video 10 times. I do like him. And now she came up with a mantra and she uses it. And she had all this traumatic stuff happen to her as a kid that she sort of told me about, that she said she can't even remember. And she said for the first time in her life ever, it does not come to her when she tries to go to sleep because she uses meditation to fall asleep.
Yeah, please send me the link.
Yeah.
Please, God, somebody else send it.
But, I think you might also really like the Wim Hof breathing.
And I found that to be really good when I'm feeling in these moments of like kind of uncontrollable anxiety or
it's like
stress.
An animalistic physical level.
Yeah.
Right?
And I do it every morning when I wake up, then I do the meditation. But then if something bad, I'm having kind of a stressful time right now, what normally would have sent me into a tailspin, not just the scaffolding, but more stuff. I'll do the breathing. I'll just stop and do it. I'll be like, all right, just do this. Cause you know, you're going to feel a little bit better, or at least like you can manage this better. And I've learned through doing this stuff, like my life has fully improved. Chronic pain I've had has for 15 years from trauma from when I was a child is gone in my body, gone. Like I don't have to sleep, like completely gone. But I realized there's still this hankering thing in my heart. And I realized it. I'm not going to cry right now because it's going to be really gay if I do. But like, it was when I was meditating and I was like, there's a void that's missing because of stand up, because I haven't been allowed to do it. you know, and there's nothing that's going to fill that for me until I do it again, you know, no mantras, no breathing, whatever. It all make it like, okay to get through. But like, I think you had it too. It's like, we weren't allowed to do the thing that we love. It didn't matter if we weren't paid. It didn't matter this. We were just wanted to do it. So, you know,
well,
I get to do it.
Right.
It's grief. It's grief,
yeah.
I guess, you know, and I get to do it tomorrow and I'm terrified I won't be funny. And that's my own neuroses, you know, but
go have fun, dude. Just have fun. Kick it with the comics and tell some jokes for the comics and have fucking fun.
Yeah. I mean, cause you know, you said once you got to do it again and Eve too, they're like, now it comes right back. Don't even think about it.
It does.
So.
I mean, I feel rusty, but it's like, and I felt both like a lightness afterward and, that was nothing. You know what I mean? Like both like that's my thing. And also it's no big deal because you just fucking build it up and all this stuff. It's like, so it's just, it's like your old little friend, you know, you just go and you visit. Yeah. And it's fine.
But before we go, I do want to know, as you know, as succinct as you can, you know, be that writer we know you are, right? Is there anything you're jealous of? And then once you say it, you have to, in others. And then once you say it, you then have to pay us compliments because I fucking need one.
Like what
that I'm jealous of in others?
Like what do you? What's the thing?
Or anything? You know, anything.
I want that. Yeah, sorry.
I think I'm jealous of people who can just like I think like lack of better phrase, dumb people. Like I wish I could just be not that I'm smart or anything, but like I have a level of awareness sometimes that
sensitivity.
Oh man, it drives me fucking nuts. And I just wish I could just walk around fucking, and I think what it is, a lot of people are just like doing coke and they're like having a good time. But like, I just fucking, I wish I could just fucking relax and be ignorant and just live in that bliss for a little while.
Yeah.
Some people look so fucking peaceful in their stupidity that I'm just like, man, I wish I could just wear the same socks every day or whatever. Or like, I wish I could just not focus on everything all the time.
Yeah.
I wish. And then you ladies, Jesus Christ, you guys are so fun and so playful and so sweet. And you both look great. You both clearly do a lot of Zoom podcasts because you look great. I feel like I look fucking like shit. I'm disproportional. There's this. Who wants this in their background? Why would you have this in the fucking background? You guys are sweet. And Eve, I haven't seen your stand-up. I'm sure you're great. I'll come to New York. I'll watch you. Or if you're in LA, please hit me up.
Oh, I was already like calculating in my mind. I'm like, we're going to get gigs. I'm going to use you, but in a fun way. And then you can use me, you know?
Yeah. When I come to New York, I'm sure I'll be looking for handouts when I do come eventually.
Yeah.
And Katharyn, you're fucking amazing. You already know you're amazing. I appreciate you so much. And you've helped me. Us texting and talking during COVID, you helped me a lot. I'll start crying right now if I fucking start to talk anymore about it. But I appreciate your help. I look forward to the cool shit that you get to do and that I get to do with you in Edinburgh.
Yeah,
and fucking you're gonna do great tomorrow. Just go have fun and fucking even if you have new shit that you're unsure about, tell your fucking new shit. Do new material.
Wait till you hear it. Wait till you hear it. You're going to be like, never say that again. But thank you. You know, I feel the same way. So, you know, it's going to be all right. I started to tear up. I could have just not told you. That would have been better. Just not.
We can see it. We can tell you.
Oh, shut up. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, is there anything you want to plug real quick before we,
there's only one thing I want to plug. Anybody who is a big fan of stand-up and doesn't hate the military yet, go. So I run a nonprofit. It's called the Rapid Fire Comedy Tour. It's rapidfirecomedytour.org. We're on Patreon. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Just find us. Check us out. If you're into it, make a fucking donation, buy a pin, buy a t-shirt, whatever. We do free shows for the Marine Corps. We drive out to base, put on shows for free. All the comics volunteer their time. And literally our cost is renting a van, paying for gas. And then sometimes if there's enough money, we all go to In-N-Out after a show.
Oh my God.
I'm just trying to, we're trying to find sponsors and people to donate more. So anybody, just if you see this, go check that out. It's at Rapid Fire Comedy Tour.
And what's your, do you want to plug your Instagram too?
Mine is at Uncle Ben Died for Your Sins. I got really stoned one time and I changed it to that, and it was a mistake, but you know, that's what it is. It's Uncle Ben Died for Your Sins.
I love that. And please follow the podcast that Everyone's Doing Better on Instagram. You can follow Katharyn at Eel Girl You Nasty. You can follow me at Eve Elbow. We
Rate and subscribe.
Yeah.
Rate and
Oh
subscribe.
God, I always forgot that. Rate and subscribe. Rate the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, tell your friends about the podcast, share it on Instagram, tell your grandparents, you know, they need to listen to podcasts too. And is there anything I'm forgetting, Katharyn?
Where maybe by now we have our Patreon. I don't know.
By the time this comes out, we should have our Patreon up. If we don't, you can add us and be like, what the fuck? Where's your fucking Patreon?
Yeah, we want to give you money. And I'll
Yeah,
be
we're
like,
dying.
well, you can just slip it in Eve's bra. She's waiting. Like,
This is not a good broth, so
Whatever.
I'll lose it.
Okay.
But yeah, like people are probably dying to give us $5 a month. And you know what?
You're being
We're-
ambitious, but okay.
Yeah, we're dying to receive it. We really are.
Yes, that's true.
And I think
Thank you,
that's-
Michael.
Yeah,
thank
you so much.
I
You've
love
been
you,
Thank
man.
you guys.
I love you, man.
Thank you guys for having me. I love you too.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye, guys.